Thank you to everybody who has joined this meeting. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you are right now. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And thank you so much for taking out the time to actually join this meeting and be part of this conversation. I am so grateful to all of you for that. Before I start answering the questions which have been put forth, I think it would be wonderful if, if you people have any questions, I would request you to keep it to the chat box. And I would also be asking some questions in the middle to see if I'm going on the right track. And a yes or no on the chat box would be really appreciated so that I can kind of maneuver my way around the process as well better. And I think that's the way we can go. I'd be happy to answer any questions as you guys come along the way. But in case some of the questions spill over, then we can take it over when on LinkedIn or any other platform. Because there are two other speakers who are there to speak, and I'm very excited to hear them as well. Right. So you already have heard my introduction. My name is Rai Sengupta. I am from India. And this year I have been fortunate to receive two full scholarships to the University of Oxford, which is the Weidenfeld Hoffman Scholarship as well as the Schevening Scholarship. And as Josiah mentioned, I am going to be taking you through both of them with a more greater emphasis on the Schevening Scholarship. So first on the Weidenfeld Hoffman Scholarship, which is the scholarship that I'm ultimately going forward with. It's a scholarship that is offered by the Weidenfeld Hoffman Trust, which is a University of Oxford only scholarship. So it only applies to the courses that are tenable at the University of Oxford. It is a fully funded scholarship that provides funds for your entire tuition fees as well as for the living expenses. And apart from the funding aspect of it, what the Weidenfeld Hoffman Scholarship Program has is a very interesting leadership program wherein the scholars are put through a year's worth of leadership activities, wherein skills such as entrepreneurship, networking, leadership, public speaking, negotiation are really honed through specialized sessions and workshops. So that is a segment of the scholarship that is there apart from the funding aspect of it. And the WHT or the Weidenfeld Hoffman Scholarship is offered to 30 to 35 scholars across the world every year. And this year I'm very fortunate to be representing my country in Oxford as a WHT scholar. Having said that, the Schevening also is an extremely prestigious scholarship that is offered by the UK government, and it applies to courses at all universities at most universities across the UK, I believe. And it applies only to 1 year's master's courses. And again, it is an extremely prestigious scholarship. While it also offers funds for your entire tuition fees, for visa processing, for your living stipend, and I think travel, etc. There is also the opportunity to network, and I think that is a very incredible opportunity to receive at such a young age, wherein we meet people from across the world and learn about each other in the UK, of course. So I think that's the Schevening Scholarship, and that's the FCDO aspect of it, which is by the UK government essentially, and that's the two different kinds of scholarships. So while the Weidenfeld Hoffman is offered to 30 scholars or 35 scholars across the world only at Oxford, Schevening is offered to about 700 scholars out of 62,000 applications. I believe that's the number. But to all universities in the UK, and that's the fundamental difference between the two. Apart from that, both of them are broadly similar in terms of the amounts they offer and the funding that they provide. Of course, as I mentioned, the Weidenfeld Hoffman has a leadership program, which the Schevening perhaps does not have a very direct capacity, but of course, Schevening has those networking opportunities that are available. And I think my choice of choosing Weidenfeld Hoffman over the Schevening was based on the leadership program aspect of it, because I really wanted to participate in it. And seeing that both were fully funded, I chose the WHT over the Schevening Scholarship. So so I think I'm going to begin with the questions. And if you guys have any other doubts along the way, I'll pause for questions and I'll take them up. Right. So the first question is how competitive is the Weidenfeld Hoffman Scholarship in terms of qualifications and professional experience? So the purpose of the Weidenfeld Hoffman Scholarship is to provide a fully funded opportunity at the University of Oxford to emerging leaders from developing and emerging countries across the world, and only certain courses are applicable to it. So yes, I would say it is very competitive because you are not only competing for a fully funded scholarship, but also you're competing for a fully funded scholarship against everybody who's got through Oxford. So naturally, the standards are pretty high in terms of what they expect. In terms of professional qualifications, the WHT scholarship does not have a specified number of hours that you need to work. For example, Shivning requires that you have to work for 2,800 hours before you can apply, but WHT does not have that criterion. Instead, the requirements are, of course, again, leadership, having an impact on your community, having social impact, having the desire to create public good, academic excellence. So all of those are the various criterion. And in fact, just give me a minute. I'm just going to quickly put the link of the scholarship on the chat box so that you guys can have a quick look at the requirements yourself. There you go. So yes, it was competitive. One had to submit an application along with the Oxford application, which consisted of 4 different essays of about 200 words for the WHT scholarship. And subsequently, the shortlisting is done by the department in which you get your admission, after which there is an interview stage. And the interview took place sometime in May, and then I got the result that I had got through, which was quite amazing. Honestly, I was like overjoyed. But that was the experience of the WHT scholarship. So if you guys have anything specific to ask about WHT, now would be the time to ask before I move to the evening part of the story. If you don't have any questions to ask, just write no on the chat box. Okay, Siddhi is asking what kind of questions did they ask during the interview. The questions in the WHT interview were very focused on what I wanted to study at Oxford, how it would help me in my future goals, in terms of my career goals and what I had planned for my country. So it was very futuristic oriented, I would say. They really focused on how well I knew my course and how well I knew what I wanted to do with my course in the future. I am taking up the MSc in Evidence-Based Social Intervention and Policy Evaluation at the University of Oxford. Yeah, Harshvi, I'll just emphasize upon the social impact part of the requirements. So essentially, a lot of the scholarships look at the ways in which the education that you derive from the UK not only impacts you as an individual or your career, but also the ways in which it impacts the people around you. For example, if you're, let's say, learning about technology, or if you're learning, let's say, about technology or about artificial intelligence, then perhaps the social good that you can look at is how you can use AI for good, or how you can use AI in an ethical manner. So I think that social good, that thinking about the larger public community that you're a part of, is very essential for securing, I mean, for at least putting your profile out there. Siddhi, for WHT, there was no such preference for people coming back to the country, but for Shivning, there is a requirement that you will be required to come back to the country immediately after your studies are over, and you have to remain in the country for 2 years. Right. In terms of extracurriculars and internships, absolutely, they definitely matter during the undergrad. Whatever you have done, really go out all out and showcasing them, and I will take that question subsequently during the evening aspect of it as well, because I'll cover that there. Right. So the second question is, what experiences did you use to make your application for the Evening and the Weidenfeld Hoffman scholarships, and what tips guided you? So I think the way in which I approached the Shivling and the WHT scholarships, the application form, is first of all understanding what they are asking in terms of the questions. Because oftentimes when we read the question for the first time, it comes as, we interpret it in one way. But when we read it the second time or the third time or the fourth time, then we are really able to understand what they are wanting us to answer. So a thorough reading of the website of the trust which is funding the scholarship, and a thorough reading of the questions itself helps to understand exactly what they're wanting. For example, WHT, one of the questions they asked was that what is that one need that you want to fulfill in your country? And initially, you're confused as to how you can pinpoint one need, this, that, or the other. But when you really read it, you have to figure out that how your education at Oxford or wherever you're studying will actually help to fulfill that need. So you have to link it always back to the course you're doing, or back to the education that the UK is providing you to be able to solve that particular problem in your country, not just naming a random need which is there but which has no link to your course or to your career trajectory. So I think reading the question really helped. The second thing that really worked for me is breaking down the experiences that I have very, very sharply into exactly what I did. For example, one question in the WHD scholarship essay was, give an example of a time when you mobilized a group of people for social good. And I remember that I had conducted a crowdfunding campaign for low income puppeteers in Delhi about 3 years back. And when I had to describe that, I did not simply mention that I had conducted a crowdfunding campaign. Instead, I broke down, first of all, what was the issue at hand, that the puppeteer community had been displaced from their homes. Then I spoke about the steps I took to conduct the crowdfunding campaign, let's say by contacting my college mates, mobilizing a group of people, sharing posters on social media, reaching out to human rights groups, writing articles on online platforms, reaching out to different student networks to donating, getting those funds to buy emergency use items for the community at hand. So when you really detail out exactly what you did, it does two things. One, it makes everything very clear. And that is essentially what a scholarship reviewer is looking for from you, because they want to invest in somebody who knows their stuff. And when you make things clear for people, it's very easy to believe. Second is that, of course, it also helps to really get your point across in terms of exactly what you did and how you mobilized that group, or how you kind of created that impact. So always breaking down the tasks really helps to make it easy for the person who's reading to understand, and for you to kind of showcase your achievements or your I mean your impact in a very perfect manner. So that's something that is to be looked at. Really, really read the questions well. Really, really break down exactly what you did in very narrow terms, in very basic terms. Sometimes you might be feeling, oh my God, how can I be saying stuff like I shared this on social media or I reached out to this person? But the steps matter. The steps really, really matter to actually break down what you did, because before that it's an intangible concept that I did this and I did that. But when you mention the steps, you are somebody who is reliably creating social change, and that's something that I would really recommend all of you to do. The third thing is, please maintain word limits. These essays come with word limits. Crossing it is a direct way to get out of the competition. So do not cross the word limit. Stick to the word limit very, very accurately, and try to match the word limit. For example, if the word limit is 200 words or 500 words, definitely write at least 200 or 490, 480. Do not stop at 300, because this is your chance to show what your life or your trajectory of the past 13 whatever 20 or 25 years has brought you to. So this is your opportunity to really get it out there. So do not hesitate. Break it down into steps. Read the question properly, read the website properly, and see what they're asking. And trust me, it will be easy. I have struggled a lot myself throughout the entire process. What are they asking? What is networking? What is leadership? How can you write these things? But once you sit down with a calm mind, actually see what they're wanting, it's really pretty simple. And that's where the trick is. And it'll be simple for you, I'm sure of that. I will look at a few more questions on the chat right now. Victor is asking, is it the same as the Louis Dreyfus scholarship? Louis Dreyfus is one of the donors to the WHT scholarship, but my scholarship is not funded by Louis Dreyfus directly. Medha is asking, do any of you have technical questions? No, scholarship interviews generally, at least the ones I have encountered, do not have technical questions. However, Commonwealth scholarship does have some technical questions, but mine did not. Pranesh is asking, do they focus on your understanding of global leadership for WHT? Should you definitely know where you want to end up in the next 5 or 10 years? Yes, ideally people, the scholarship reviewers definitely want you to have a clear career plan, that I want to do this in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and so on. I mean, it is okay to be a little hazy because you cannot predict the future, but a broad understanding of where you want to be in terms of the organizations you want to work in, the areas you want to work with, the kind of people you want to impact. That is extremely important when you're thinking and you're pitching yourself for educational purposes for the future. Morgan is asking, are you required to apply for the course first? For the WHT scholarship, you apply for the course along with the scholarship. For the evening, you apply right now. This application started on the 3rd of August and will end, I think, on the 2nd of November. And you apply for the courses thereafter. Pranesh asking, does using fancy SOP, are they important? No, absolutely not. Please make the SOP as simple as possible. There is no need to make it fancy, because I don't think that it really helps to get your point across. The idea is to be lucid, the idea is to be succinct in making your point across, rather than making it complicated, because ultimately the person has to see your essay, like you for what you wrote, and give you the funding, rather than looking for a dictionary. So absolutely not. Do not use complicated language. How much time did you devote to your application? The evening one, I found out about the evening a week before the applications were closing. So I was far less prepared than everybody here, because you people are attending these workshops like I think two months before the deadline. So yeah, definitely you guys are way ahead of me. So well done on that. But I had a week to prepare for the evening application, and for the WHT, I think I spent about 3 days. Right. Ria Datta is asking, did you reach out to WHT alumnus and was it helpful? Absolutely, Ria. I reached out to a bunch of alumni from WHT. I like stalked their profiles online, and I got to sort of see a lot of interesting people there. I reached out to them and they were super helpful. So I definitely benefited from their mentorship and tutelage. Yeah. All right. Whoever's question I've missed, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm just going to move on to the next question right now. Right. So the next question is, explain how one should approach the networking and career plan essay of the Chevening Scholarship. So as you would be knowing, there are 4 essays to be written in the Chevening application process. The first one is the leadership essay. The second one is the networking essay. The third one is the study in UK essay. And the fourth one is the career plan essay. And my job here right now is to talk to you about the networking essay and the career plan essay. So that's essay number 2 and 4. For the networking essay, you would realize that Chevening places immense importance on networking, because ultimately Chevening is a huge network of people from 139 countries across the world, and it is a platform where you meet your business partners, your
I'm muted.
people who will be your classmates in college, people who will help you
I think
start your
phone
own
control vizuri
initiatives,
tu.
people who
Sisi
will be part of social impact with you
itasikika
together.
sana.
So it's that kind of a crazy
Eh,
platform which is international, which is cross sectoral, which is multidimensional. And I think that networking, so essentially what Chevening is asking from this essay is how you used your skills in your past life before you would become a Chevening scholar to achieve some level of networking for social good, or for achieving some kind of purpose, right? So look at the ways in which networking can take place. Don't confine it to the processes of just LinkedIn networking, or just I would say networking which is at the office level, which is at a very professional level, right? Networking is any kind of activity or initiative wherein you bring people together and help achieve something that is great, right? That is networking. Using your contacts, using your networks to build something together, that's networking. So I think the first step towards writing the networking essay is really broaden your understanding of what networking is, and really focus on that. For example, in my networking essay, I wrote about how apart from my day job, I conducted workshops on human rights in schools and colleges of New Delhi. And in doing so, I helped to create a network of students, teachers, academicians, administrators in schools and colleges in New Delhi, which were bound by the need to create a more human rights sensitive campuses across the city. So I think networking needs to be really shown through those measures as to how you can interpret networking. That's number one, and broaden that interpretation. Number two, once again, get into the absolute basic tasks of what you did for networking. For example, I liaised with XYZ people. I reached out to XYZ people. I maintained clear lines of communication between XYZ people. I helped to improve the project outcomes through XYZ actions involving XYZ people. So break down the actions once again, because networking is a pretty vague concept if one just talks about it. And if one doesn't really break it down, nobody understands what it is, and the reviewer will not understand from your essay. So expand what networking is, figure out examples which show how innovatively you network, and break down. I reached out, I liaised, I communicated, I maintained open lines, I ensured that stakeholders are brought together on one table, those kind of phrases. And the third thing that I would want to mention for the networking essay is definitely please mention impact figures. For example, mention stuff like I reached out to like 60 plus people and helped to bring maybe 100 plus stakeholders to the table. Or I reached out to X number of people, which brought the profits of a company up by 65%. So essentially show impact in numbers, because while qualitative impact is important, it is also important to show quantitative impact, because that is very easily caught on by people. So yes, for networking essay, expand the meaning, break down your tasks, and quantify your impact. For the career plan essay, again, a very important essay. It's very important to look at it from the perspective of why a person should fund you. So you might have seen how people often pitch their projects or startups to funders, and they say that, okay, by 5 years, I will get this profit. By 10 years, I will get this profit. And for 15 years, I will get this profit. And as a candidate for a Shivning scholarship, you're doing exactly that. You are promising your funder that I will maintain or I will ensure these many returns or these many impacts by this much time. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're pitching yourself to a potential funder, and it's the faster one realizes it, the best it goes, right? So in your career plan essay, definitely, I think 3 mantras that you can take out, or 3 lessons that you can take away are: number one, mention the areas in which you want to work and mention the people you want to work with. For example, I mentioned I want to work in social protection in India, and I therefore want to work with the policy making arm of our government, which is Niti Aayog. So definitely mention the organization and the areas in which you want to work. That's number one. Number two is definitely mention your 5 year plan and 10 year plan. Do not ever kind of make it vague, keep it as real as possible. In 5 years, I want to achieve this by reaching out to these many people, and I see myself working here. In 10 years, I want to broaden my horizon and I want to work in these different areas. So, 5 year plan, 10 year plan, if possible, 15 year plan, very, very closely aligned to how your course prepares you for it. So it's not like it's a 5 year plan in the air. So it's like, okay, my course has a component of research methods, and 10 years later, I see myself doing research in this area for my country. Or my course has a multidisciplinary aspect. So in 5 years, I see myself doing this in the transdisciplinary zone of, let's say, climate change, something like that. So link it to your course, keep a 5 year, 10 year plan, and mention the areas and the people you want to impact through your career plan essay. That is the broad crux of it. All right. I'm going to take 2 questions right now before we move to the next section. So Purva has asked, how can we expand our networking? So I think, Purva, just as I was mentioning, networking is again all about bringing people together for a common purpose, right? It can be the networking you undertake, let's say, to organize a college fest. It can be the networking you undertake in an internship, where, let's say, you do field work. It can be the networking in a professional atmosphere, wherein you get, let's say, different stakeholders to improve the profits of your organization or to invest in social good. So that's the way you have to just see broadly how you can showcase yourself as a people's person, somebody who in the future will be able to network with other Cheveners and create impact at the global scale. Roshni is asking, how do you know if your experiences and profile is strong enough for Shivning? Roshni, honestly, nobody does. I don't think anybody knows that one's profile is strong or experience is strong, because Shivning really values diverse profiles. There is not one right kind of profile that would be applicable or that would be correct. So my recommendation is go all out, improve your CV, improve your essays, work on it, and just apply. There is no one right answer for it. So just go for it. And I'm sure if you applied this year, congratulations on making the essay rounds last year. I'm sure you'll make it this year for sure. Right. I'm going to take up the fourth essay right now, for the fourth question right now, which is Should one highlight the qualities of a leader? Example, problem solving, strategy, vision in the leadership essay of the Chevening Scholarship. So as I was mentioning, Chevening has four essays. I talked about essay 2, which is networking, and essay 4, which is career. Essay 1 is about leadership and influence, wherein they ask you what are the instances in which you showcase leadership, or what are the instances in which you were able to influence public thought, public thinking, public opinion. And in these kind of essays, it is extremely crucial to be able to write about the ways in which your experiences have really made you a leader, in the sense that you have mobilized a group of people, you have shown strategy, you have shown vision, you have created impact. And not just for the leadership essay, but for every kind of essay possible, I think a very important way to go forth is the STAR method, which is the situation, task, action, result method, wherein you describe the situation at hand, you describe the task that was there to be taken based on the situation at hand, you describe the action which was there, which you took to improve the situation, and you describe the result or the impact that you created. So yes, in the leadership essay, Chevening is looking for global leaders, people who can lead at the world forums. So many Cheveners have become presidents and prime ministers of their countries. Cheveners are leading global companies. So they want people like that who can bring people together, who have a vision for improving the lives of others, who have a vision for bringing people to the same table and kind of creating spaces for conversation, for dialogue, for equity, for equality. So definitely talk about the cases in which has been leadership, and it does not have to be that you have to be the boss of your organization or the owner of a firm or something. It can be you can be the an important position holder in a student organization. You can be the youth leader of a political party. You can be the a person leading a campaign in her own locality. But cases in which you showed initiative, where you showed that you had the potential to get 6 people or 5 people together and create something together, that is what they're looking for. So it doesn't matter about the level at which you created that leadership or at which you influence public thought, but the intent, but the initiative that you took. And that's very, very important. So do not downplay the kind of leadership that you took, thinking that, okay, I haven't, really shown leadership, or I haven't really been a leader. There are many, many cases in which you have been a leader and you are not realizing at this point. So definitely go through your experiences again and think about the ways in which you were a leader, using the STAR approach, showcasing your strategy, showcasing your vision. Use words like pioneer, use words like spearheaded, use words like led, took charge, mobilized. Those are very powerful words you can use to make your essay even look better, right? All right, I'm going to take Samya's question right now. What do you think truly worked out for your application? Uh, okay, I'm not really sure what worked out in my application, honestly, but I think if I had to pick something, I think it would be the diversity of experiences. I would like to think that the many experiences I pursued would kind of provide a very diverse picture to the reviewers, and I think that is something that would have worked out. A second aspect, I think, which might have worked in my favor is that I worked on a lot of the projects which I also want to continue working on in the future. For example, I was part of a lot of national program level evaluations of government programs, and subsequently I want to go on and work in that space again. So I think the reviewers could find a direct link between my past experience and my future plans. So I'm guessing that worked out, but the process is pretty opaque, so I do not know for sure what really worked out. All right, I'm going to take up the last question right now, and then I'll leave the floor open to a few more questions before I pass on the mic to the next scholar. The fifth question is, from your experience, how should one approach the Chevening interviews? Right. So, first of all, before the Chevening interviews, whoever makes it to the Chevening interview, congratulations, because that's a huge step, I think. Getting through the shortlist process is the battle to speak. The long list and the short list are the battles. The interview is the fairly lighter or the easier section of the story. So definitely, congratulations whoever gets through eventually to the interview stage. Having said that, the Chevening interviews, what I did was, so there are divergent opinions on this. Some people say that you should just be not prepare too much and just be natural. Some people say that you should be preparing and you should be really, really into it and kind of get it done. So I followed a mix of both. The first thing I did was I reviewed all of my essays and all of whatever I submitted to Shivning, because the the shaping process, the submission happens in November, the interviews are in March the next year. In the middle there is this 5 month gap, and in that 5 month gap people forget things, right? So I had completely blanked out as to what I had written in my essay, so I really took the time to read and to understand exactly what I had written, to review it over and over again, to go over the experiences I had written about, and to sort of replicate them in my own head, because I don't want to be sounding the same as the essay. You don't want to sound like you mugged up your essay. So definitely know your stories. They will be the same stories, but it has to be spoken in a more conversational manner. I think that is something that I really did. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos. I looked at mock interviews online just to see how the interviews are conducted. And that was very helpful as well, because watching somebody conduct interviews and seeing how scholar responds is very interesting to see. So I was pretty addicted to that. I have a 1 hour commute to work, so every day I used to sit and watch those videos on my way to work. Apart from that, I think I also went through some of the questions that are asked in Shivling. Some of this, I think I had read a blog somewhere which detailed out some of the questions that Shivling asks in terms of networking or career, etc. So I just broadly read those questions and prepared myself in that manner, that okay, these are some of the broad areas in which I should be able to answer the questions. And that's it. And yeah, that was mostly it. I wore a sari for my interview, which is a traditional dress in India. So I really wanted to showcase my country's culture and heritage at the interview. That was pretty exciting. And it went to, I mean, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get through after the interview, because I think it was a very sort of haphazard process, because the interview ran very long, and then it was complicated in the sense that I personally felt that I would not be getting through. So I was pretty depressed the whole time after it. But I was very fortunate to get through, and I'm really thankful for it. Right. Radhika is asking, do you think internships helped you enough? Absolutely. Internships are very important for any scholarship process, not just achievement. Definitely take up internships if you're in college. Try to get work experience if you're out of college. And definitely leverage those research experiences as you go along the way, or whatever kind of experiences you gather. So, yes, internships are very important, and you can use them to showcase during your leadership or your networking essays as well. Right. Sandeep is asking, does undergrad and postgrad matter while applying for Shivning? If yes, then what is the marks range? So, undergrad and postgrad, I don't think the institution matters, but I think, you know, you are ultimately, you have to look at the institution you want to apply to in the UK. So, it might require like a first class or a whatever, upper, second, whatever, the terminology is. So, I think Shivning looks at that as to whether you are able to fulfill that requirement. And once you're able to fulfill that, I don't think Shivling has an academic requirement, so to speak. Right. Yeah, Purva, sure, reach out to me whenever you require. Siddhi, the work experience eligibility is there on the website, so you can have a look at that. It's a pretty long list of stuff that applies and doesn't apply, so I would recommend that you look at that directly. Nandita is saying, can you speak a little more about your WHT essays? Nandita, what we can do is we can take this on LinkedIn, because a lot of other people are waiting to hear about Shivling and Commonwealth. So let's take that on the LinkedIn. And Harshvi is saying, should I emphasize on my research experience and publications more, or my internship experience? I don't think, I think there's no one right answer. If you're looking at applying for a more research based course, I guess it makes more sense to emphasize on research versus internships. However, many internships can be in the research space, so it's a tricky place. Just see whether your experience that you're writing in this scholarship essay is actually aligned with your course and your future goals. And I think that's the litmus test you should apply while writing any kind of experience in your essays. Um, yeah, Shivani, I don't think there is any correlation between numbers of. So in Shivni, I think if you meet the minimum number of work experience hours, which is 2,800, it should be fine. And I don't think there's a correlation. I don't in WHT. I don't think there's a correlation either. They only care about your intent to serve, your the kind of experiences, whether academic or research or internship that you've pursued in the past. So I don't think there's a direct correlation there. Right. So with that, I will close my session, and thank you so much for being such a patient audience. I spoke a lot, and I realized that it must be quite exhausting for a lot of you to hear. But I'm very glad that you all were so participative and wrote so many interesting questions. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and thank you, Josiah, for the opportunity. I will now pass the mic back to you.
Wow, wow, this that was very loaded, and thank you so much, Rai. I was reading your profile, and there was all these experiences, which is really great work that you're doing. Even as you seek these scholarships, I know it is for the better of your country and the world at large, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So feel appreciated. In fact, would like to make you a resident facilitator for this webinar. So every time we have it, it will be a pleasure to invite you again and again, so that we get just to hear from you. It's very articulate, very loaded, and I know all of us that want to apply this year have really gotten something from your presentation. So thank you so much. So our next,
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. So our next speaker is Praise Mufaro, and right, I think was this your first time to apply for these scholarships?
Yes.
Now, Praise applied 4 times and got it in the fourth time. So his story is really inspirational, especially to those who have applied once or twice and seem to not get it. So, without much further ado, if Praise is here, please take the floor.
Okay, thank you so very much, um, David. My name is Praise Akiwa, a Chevening alumnus, 2019-2020 cohort. I studied MSc in Entrepreneurship and Enterprise at the University of Leeds. And I applied 4 times and I got it at the fourth time. So I've got a bit of experience in the Chevening application process. I also want to thank Rai for such an eloquent and packed presentation. I think Rai has touched a lot, but I just want to add some few points. I'm not going to do much on my experience. I just want to add on what Rai has said. Um, like generally on the chief application, they are looking for leadership and not looking for leaders like Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Malala, the world um, leaders, but are looking for a potential in a leader. Sorry, I'm a bit slow. I'm not as fast as Rai. So in your presentation, you should show your potential, what you did. In my application, I gave 3 examples. One was at university when I did something. I showed my leadership, and then the approach that I used for leadership was a STAR approach: the situation and the task, action, and results. Some would add like the lesson at the end. So in terms of situation, you're explaining what was on the ground before your initiative. If there was a problem, you just explain what the problem was. And then your task, what you did, what was your plan of action. And then your action, what exactly the steps that you take to solve that problem. And then the results, whether negative or positive after your intervention. And then the lessons learned. So that was the approach that I used for my leadership essays. So one was at university, and then the second one was for my youth group at church. I'm very spiritual, so I used as an example at church as a youth leader in our church, and then the third one was a community group that I was leading then. So those are the 3 examples. As you can see, uh, this was not much. I did not present like a broad experience, like a work experience. It was just a simple presentation, simple examples. So you don't have to showcase an impact that you did to other people, but if you change the life of one person, it's enough. So you just have to go on there. And then the second one was networking. Rai touched also on this one, but they're looking for your ability to connect with other people and how it's gonna help the people in the future. So they're looking for tolerant leaders. First, they're looking for potential in leadership. Number two, they're looking for tolerant leaders. We are working in a global environment. How do you relate to people from India? How do you relate with people from Africa? So you need to showcase your ability to connect with people from different parts of the world, because as you've had scholarship, there are people from different parts of the world. So you need to show your ability to connect with those people, understand their cultures, to understand and respect their values. So you need to talk about that in your networking as well. And then in terms of your career plan, you have to talk more about what exactly you want to do after having this master's degree. United Kingdom is investing over £50,000 on you. So how are you gonna plow back what the UK has given you to the community? So you need to show a gradual growth. I started entrepreneurship. I cannot say like after 2 years I want to be a billionaire like Jeff Bezos, but you need to show steps. Like I want to start with a small shop in our community and then grow to some part of India or Kenya or Tanzania, and then my business will grow to other parts of the world. So you need to show gradual growth. As you have heard from Rai, from the profile, you can see that she started small and then there was a gradual growth until she gets to where she is right now. So you need to show that gradual growth in your career path. Like after 2 years, I'll be here. After 5 years, I'll be there. After 10 years, I'm going there. And then another mistake that people make, United Kingdom is not investing in you. So that you can beg to get a PhD. Of course, after some time, you have to get a PhD, but you have to show them how you're going to plow back what you learned. And to understand this scholarship, it's what can I say? They want to invest in you so that you can help them to advance their interest in your country. So that's another secret. So you have to link your future career plans with what the United Kingdom is doing in your country. If they are working on climate change, what will be your role after completion? What is it that you're going to do that will help them advance their own interests? So you'll be someone who will be acting on behalf of the government of your home country and the government of the UK. So they are looking for someone with that potential, with that passion to help the people in the local country as well as advance the interests of the United Kingdom. So you have to link what the UK is doing in your country and then your passion and what is lacking in your country. You have to fill that gap. Then on the study in the UK question, you have to show, like in our time they said you have to select 3 universities. I don't know what they're saying now. But in our time they said you have to select 3 universities. You have to dwell on those 3 universities. So what I did in my essay was, first paragraph, I talked about my first option, which was the University of Leeds. I explained why I chose that, and then I linked what are the modules and my future career plans. You also have to research. Masters is not a simple program. You have to show your research skills. So show them that you have researched. Talk about the modules that you're going to learn. Talk about the lecturers, the professors. Talk about their research interests if they are in line with your future career goals. Talk about how those modules are going to equip you to fulfill your future career plan. And then the second paragraph, I used the same pattern. What the program was offering, the lecturers, their research interests, and then I entwined them with my passion with what I'm going to do, my future career plan. So you have to weave your essays properly. There is a reason why the application window is three months, from August to November. So you have to sit down to write, to think, to research, and then come up with something. And then finally, you have to find a third person who's going to review your essay. It's very, very important to hear someone's word on your application. So in brief, that's what I wanted to say, in addition to what Ryan said. So for my questions here, I don't know if you've got a question, you just type as I'll be explaining, and then I'll come back to your question. Okay. Sorry. And then the first question here about, from my experience, how one should approach networking and study in the UK. I think I've touched on this one, the networking. Rai has also touched on the networking. Show your ability to bring people together, to work together towards a common goal. You don't have to talk about a large group or something big, but just small and their impact. Just show that you're someone who can take initiative, someone who can communicate with people easily, someone who can connect with people easily without a challenge, someone who values other people's views and perceptions. Those are the true characteristics of a true leader. So you should approach such questions. You can use also the STAR approach when you explain the networking question, the situation, how was the situation, what was the task, what was the action in bringing people together, and what were the results. You can use that approach also. And then in the UK essay, I think I've talked about it. And then about how can one show the SMART career plan in the career plan essay. One thing, you have to show that your future career plan is specific. What is it exactly that you want to do? If you're studying public policy, what is it that you want to do after completion? What's your first step towards achieving your career plan? So as for me, I was studying entrepreneurship, and then people who study entrepreneurship don't usually come back and start businesses. But then I talked about volunteering first, as I'll be settling down to assess the situation, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now, to assess the situation, to assess the business environment in my country, and then start by volunteering with other businesses or other startup groups, and then you move from there, moving gradually. Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it relevant? Is it time-bound? So you have to show that in 2 years' time, I'll be here, I'll be doing so. And then in 5 years' time, I'm going to be in this level, using the experience. So you have to connect. Like, you cannot say, after finishing, I'll be a nurse, and then after being a nurse, in 5 years' time, I'll be an engineer. After being an engineer, and then in 10 years' time, I'll be a consultant. You should show there should be a relationship. There should be consistency in the way your career plan is going to be written. So, in short, that's how I can approach that question. And then, in terms of preparing for the Chivni interview, personally, I would advise people not to be concerned much about the interview for now, but to concentrate on writing their essays, applying for universities, and then when you are shortlisted for interview, then you start from there, because it will be not that easy. You'll be just reading from your essays, you'll be making your essays known to the interviewers. So I advise people for now to concentrate on writing essays, to make sure that they've explained clearly in their essays what they want to do, and then they can show their potential. And then life in the UK. Oh, life in the UK is so beautiful, especially coming from the third world, like a country like mine. You know, it's totally different. The way the political system, the social system is different. But then one thing that if you are if you are called, or like if you get that scholarship, you have to balance between work and then social life. You have to play hard and you have to study hard, because of the mental health challenges. People need to socialize, people need to connect. You make connections, you need to network. Some single people meet their future partners. So people should, like, if you've got that opportunity, you have to travel much, you have to connect with people, you have to attend conferences to make sure that you balance between academics and then the social life. For now, I'm going to answer the questions. Okay, so someone is asking, how do you know the future interests of the UK in your country? You can go on the DFID. I'm very sorry, things have changed. I don't know if DFID is still there, but you can go. In our time, it used to be called FCO. I don't know now if it's FCDO or something like that. You have to go on the FCDO page in your country, and then look at the projects that they are doing in your country, the programs that they are doing in your country. Like Ria was saying, he was working with DFID and developing some strategies for Zimbabwe. So you have to look for those kind of programs and how you can fit in to advance their interests in your country. So just go to the FCDO page. Thank you, George. FCDO. In our time, it was FCO or DFID. Okay, how do you make your applications better with each attempt? All right. So in my first time, I was a bit naive. I just saw the scholarship, and then I realized that it's free. I have to apply, and then I did not take time. I just typed on the boxes, on the application boxes. I did not take, like, for my first application, I did not take like 10 minutes. I just wrote one sentence for each essay, and then I submitted, and then I got a regret. And then for the second time, I tried to do a bit of research, but like I just wrote the wishy-washy essays, and then I submitted, and then I got a regret as well. For my third time now, that's when I realized that this thing is serious. And then I tried to connect with people from on social media, and then I created some WhatsApp group. I attended some webinars. In our time, it was mostly Telegraph. Is it Telegram and WhatsApp? And I connected with a lot of people. My essays got improved, and then I was called for an interview. But then one mistake that most people make is that when they are called for an interview, they think that it's automatic that they are going to get the scholarship. And that was my mindset then. When I was called for an interview, I relaxed, and I thought that I received that scholarship. Then when I went into the interview, I waffled a lot, and I received a regret. Then for my final time, I used the same experiences, but then I was just adding some improvements, or like the things that I had achieved over time. But mostly my programs were the same, and my career plan was the same. I was just improving and perfecting. And then for the final time, I had a mentor, and I did some mock interviews before I got into the interview. And then when I went to interview, I got the scholarship. That was it. Do the PhD funding scholarship have similar kind of criteria? They are a bit different when it comes to the UK, because in the UK you have to submit a research proposal, and then you get to the interview. But then for a research proposal, you just have to show the areas that you are interested in, and then if the university is willing, if they like the professors are willing to help you, or are interested in a research area, and then they can help you. So when it comes to PhD funding, it's a bit different. And you can stand a good chance, like if you have studied in the UK, because like you know the systems, and then they value their education system. So if you've got a master's degree from the UK, you have a plus, because mostly you're talking to people that you're familiar with and they know you, so it will be a bit easier. But you can apply from outside as well, as long as you can connect with the supervisors first, and then interested in your research area. If your master's degree in a similar field to which you're applying, do you have to put a lot of emphasis on justifying a second degree in the same field? I think you don't have to talk much about your master's degree in your application. You can just indicate that you have a master's degree, but I don't think you have to talk much about it in your essays. But if you've shown your leadership, if it fits in one of the essays, then you can talk about it, but not deep, because they're not concerned about just your first master's degree. Does applying to the university early enough increase your chances of getting a scholarship? I would say no, because for achieving scholarship, they're mainly based on the essays. So whether you've got first class undergraduate degree, whether you've got a distinction in your master's, whether you're a straight A student, they're not concerned about that. Whether you've got a place at the university, they're not concerned about that for the meantime. They ask you about university places or offers once you get to the interview. But for now, just indicate that if you want to go to Oxford, Imperial, or Leeds, just indicate, and should select university that should stand chances of getting places. So having an offer does not guarantee you a place for scholarship. These 4 essays are your ticket to the Chevening Scholarship. So for these 3 months, you have to work on these 4 essays. Make sure, like Rai said, make sure you've perfected them. Make sure you've heard the voice. You made sure that you've put all your effort in them, and then after submitting, then you can continue applying for universities. But if you can get an offer early, then it's fine. But I don't think it can increase your chances of getting a scholarship. So Rachel is talking about having a conditional offer. So what they do usually, they can give you like conditional offer when you apply. They can give you a conditional offer. And one of the conditions is for fees. So most people are from English-speaking nations, like the former colonies of the UK. They don't struggle much with English. Like in Zimbabwe, Nigeria, they don't struggle much with English language. So they usually exempt people from these countries, but one condition is for fees. And then you have to tell them that I'm applying for Chevening Scholarship, because most universities, they are affiliated to the Chevening Scholarship. So just tell them that I've applied for Chevening Scholarship, and then tell them that I'm still waiting for their response. That you can maintain your conditional offer. And once you get the scholarship, you can send the offer to them. Someone is asking, does applying to multiple courses at the same university decrease your chances of getting a Chevening Scholarship? I think you can apply to any program as long as they are related. Like, for example, you can apply for Masters in Public Health and Masters in Public Health International, or Masters in Health Informatics. They are kind of related. You need to show that they are related, and you need to justify. But what they are looking for is just one offer. They're looking for 3 universities, but you have to get one offer from any university. So it doesn't matter whether you have applied to 3 courses, but I think for risk purposes, you have just to apply to different universities. But then the thing, your university courses may need to be related. You cannot apply for engineering at the University of Leeds and then apply for public health at Oxford University and then go to Imperial College, apply for engineering. You have to show like similarity in your choices. Because you have to justify in your interview why you've selected those universities. And once you see that you've selected different universities, your chances of being selected would be very low because they'll say you don't know exactly what you want to do. I think there are no questions. If there are questions coming, you can still type and then we can help. For now, I think I've done. Okay. Then the do's and don'ts that I've prepared here from my experiences and from what I've heard other people talk. In your essays, don't look for pity. Don't say, oh, I'm coming from a very poor background, so please help me. No, they want real leaders. Leaders are those people who see problem and then take initiative. So you don't have to show people, oh, I'm very poor, I just need your help. You know, I grew up, I did this, without showing the leadership potential. You have to convince them with your potential, with your ability to connect and clear and succinct career plans. And then avoid being overconfident. I've seen people with very nice, beautiful profiles being rejected because they are being overconfident. Having like 10 years experience does not guarantee you achieving scholarship. So you don't have to be overconfident in your application. Number two, you don't have to use like very, very big words. Because remember, the people who are going to review your essays are ordinary people like from different backgrounds like me. So like, for example, if I'm reviewing an application from an engineering background and I'm from the business side, I don't know some of the jargons used in the engineering. So make it possible to use simple English. I know that some of you, they are very good at English. So try to use simple language. Try to be clear and straightforward. And then try to find a mentor. I think I've talked about it. Try to find a mentor, someone who will help you, who guide you. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be there because currently I'm tied up. And then volunteering is very, very important. I think Rai touched on this one also. You can also use the volunteering example as work experience, and then you can use volunteering experience in answering one of the essays. It's really, really important because we value it much. And then finally, join the social media group. I remember in our time, we had a group of 10 applicants from different countries. And then we were so connected. And then when we met each other in London at our orientation, we were so happy, you know. It's been like we've been a family for all our lifetime. So it's very, very important to join the social media and then try to communicate, try to socialize. You will learn some of the things and their cultures so that when you get the scholarship, it will be easy for you to go out there. Because mind you, you are going alone to the UK. There are no relatives. Some of you, you might have relatives there, but then you're going alone. So you have to create your family within the achievement community. I thank you.
Wow. Praise. This has been good, especially listening to your inspirational story. Really encourages those of us who have had a go at achieving maybe once or twice. Just the resilience and hearing your stories is really encouraging, and I know it's given us some morale. I like what you said about having the clear and succinct plans and not being too complicated. I think that is really a takeaway. And also that you emphasize that we join these networks, and this is what we are trying to do. And I think I'd be sending an email to those who have been interested in getting into probably a WhatsApp group, so that we're able to move this conversation much further, So I'd be messaging you on email if you're interested. Perhaps we can form a kind of a group that will be sharing these resources, and I think it will be much good. So without further ado, and I know time is really gone, and especially for Indian brothers and sisters, I'd like to invite George Sitati from Kenya to take us through his own experience in applying for Chiefning, and also now that he's going to the University of Bristol on a Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. Just take us through that process of the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and some of the things that we need to look out for in this prestigious scholarship. So over to you, George. Thank you so much.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to be here today. Yeah, actually, I won both a scholarship. I was upgraded yesterday for the Chevening Scholarship, but I won't talk much about the Chevening Scholarship since the two prior speakers already talked about it. But I would like to just add some info regarding the Chevening Scholarship. Chevening Scholarship is a UK funded scholarship. So when you're talking about your career plan, you really need to show an interest to UK funded projects in your country. So in whichever area that you are working, in whichever industry, be it health, climate change, agriculture, try as much as possible to find a link that will be able to link your expertise that you gain from the United Kingdom with what the UK is doing in your country. It doesn't mean that you have to work on this project, but also supporting by volunteering, supporting by training and all that. So yes, I applied to Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. It's a bit different to other scholarship. It comprises of around 11 essays. First, it has the 4 essays that the Chevening has, that are leadership, networking, study in the UK, and the career plan. And then the main difference between Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and the Chevening Scholarship is that Chevening is more of it employs the triangular spectrum, that is education, leadership, and networking. For Commonwealth, what really matters is your impact. And another difference is that for Chevening, even if you have a 2.2, that is a second lower, you'll be able to access and able to be accepted through this scholarship. But for the Commonwealth, you have to your degree has to be a 2.1 and above. That is second upper and above. So I'll start on my path on Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So what I can say about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is that you have to be really aware of what the your industry is doing, particularly in the UK, what the UK is doing in your industry. For instance, for my case, it's climate change. I really had to research a lot of what the UK is doing in terms of climate change. And Rai and Praise has talked about different ways of tackling the essays. And for me, I have a different ways of writing my essays. My essays that I try as much as possible to expound and to be creative when talking about what I want to do, what I will solve, and I use a lot of statistics. For example, when I talk about an issue of climate change, like Kenya has an issue of climate change, I just don't go that way. I expound and be creative, and I'll be like, climate change has affected this number of people. It has rendered this number of people to poverty. And then I will acknowledge that source of information, and my acknowledgement and the sources have to be reputed sources that are all known globally. So for the process of a Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, it is partnered with UK universities. First of all, you have to apply to the UK universities. Then after applying to the UK universities, then you go to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship online site, then whereby you'll write your essays. After writing your essays, it's not that the Commonwealth will read your essays. The university will be the one reading your essays. After reading your essay, the university will nominate you. We call it a provisional nomination. It will nominate you to be awarded the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, and then forward your name to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship Secretariat. Then, after that, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship will look if at all you fit and you have met all the eligibility criteria regarding the scholarship scheme. So for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, you really need to understand that you first have to apply to the university. The university will nominate you. Then after the nomination, is whereby you will be asked for your references, and then after that. So it's really good to understand that in order for you to be nominated for this kind of a scholarship, you need to understand what the university is looking at, is looking for in terms of that program. And another thing about the Commonwealth Scholarship is that it is really limited to the way that it's not unlimited like the Chevening. Chevening, you can school and you can take a scholarship at any UK university. For Commonwealth Scholarship, we have around 18 universities in the UK that only supports that scheme. So, and the scheme has some theme. For example, for my course is climate change science and policy. It's under a theme of resilience and protection. So there are also some other themes like health, whereby you'll find some courses like global health. So for Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, it's not a scholarship that you can take any course that you want. Courses are already there. Like you can't just say like, I want to pursue a course in entrepreneurship and then I applied for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. No, the courses are already there. It's for you to really look at the courses and understand that this course really fits my expertise, aspiration, and all that. And so I'll tell you on how to take the Commonwealth Scholarship essays. The essays are majorly impact essays. In that, you need to understand, as I said prior, like what the UK is doing in your country and what the UK is really doing in your interest. That is the moment that you're able to write these essays. It's not like the essays in the Chevening about the networking, the leadership, the career, and all that. And I'll give you I don't know, but it was a really good experience for me. For my leadership essay, for the Chevening and the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, I didn't change even a full stop or anything. I just copy-pasted my leadership essay from the Chevening, and I posted it on the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship platform. So, on writing these essays, you really need to be very, very coherent with your story. For example, when you talk about, I want to achieve to be a climate change scientist. You don't just say that I want to be a climate change scientist. Show how you will become a climate change scientist upon completion of your program through volunteering and all that. Another thing is that we need to have a time scale. Like within the first 5 years of post-graduation, I will work as a climate change scientist at company A, B, and C. And then you can also mention some modules, like module A and B will equip me with skills like this. I'm able to tackle a problem within this organization using the skills and knowledge that I've learned doing this module. And so I'll talk about the seven issues regarding the Commonwealth streams. We don't have a lot of time, but I'll just give you a wrap up of what the Commonwealth really is. Commonwealth doesn't support every country as compared to the Chevening. Commonwealth Child Scholarship is for this Commonwealth countries, and it's around each year they support around 19 countries. That's one thing. Another thing is that the scholarship is impact oriented and academic oriented as compared to the Chevening scholarship, which is, as I said, of a triangular spectrum of leadership for networking and academic. And another thing about the Commonwealth is that for people who would like to continue with your education in the United Kingdom, you can talk to your program officer and you can continue with your education as far as a PhD program. So you don't necessarily have to come back to your country, but it's a good thing that you should come back to your country since you promised in your essay that you come back to and have that and implement those impacts. Another overview about the Commonwealth Child Scholarship is that it has a statement of purpose, or rather a personal statement. The Chevening doesn't have a statement of purpose, but the statement of purpose is divided into the four pieces: that's leadership, networking, studying in the UK, and career plan. Another thing is that your impact must be very, I'll say it must be very statistical, that your impact must be very realistic and very smart. And you are dare to dream, but you just can't say that I'll come back and be a president of that. Dare to dream when you talk about your impact. And another thing is that you really need to show a link between your experiences, your education, and your past education, that is your undergrad, your future education that you are going to take in the UK, that is your master's, and your future career. You really need to have that link that will be able to be a very coherent story about your scholarship application. So, on regard about Commonwealth Child Scholarship, is the same as Chevening in regards to the 4 S's, but it has other 7 S's. And the 7 S's are majorly impact-oriented S's. What you're going to do in the UK, how you're going to learn in the UK, how you're going to, when you come back to your country, how you're going to implement those impact and how your impact will be measured. So that's the main difference between that. And another thing is that you can continue with your education. So lastly, I'll say, like, when you talk about your essays, for me, I would say I use a lot of statistics. And the moment I said there are a lot of statistics, that you need to be very careful when you use statistics. Since when you use statistics, you'll be very, a lot of the times you'll be very technical. And the majority of people reading your essays are not from your field. So try as much as possible to use a language that anybody can understand. And when you use a statistic, no matter what statistic you use, make sure you acknowledge that source of statistics. And that's majorly part of my essay writing. I use statistics a lot, and I think that is what made my essays really competitive and really good. I use statistics, and I acknowledge statistics from very reputable sources such as FAO, the WHO, sources that are known. And another thing is that kindly you can, when you're writing your essay, download the Grammarly. Grammarly is an app, or you can add in your Word and even your site. It corrects you, and it actually gives you more idea proofreading essays. So you are applying to the UK, download Grammarly, and under the language, set UK, since the UK language is so different from languages such as from the American and Australia. And another thing is that have people and have mentors that can able to read and to read your essays. it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that the person reading your essay must be a person who has gone through the process. No, my essay I remember was I gave Josiah, who read my essay, the Chevening essay, which enabled me. We were in the same group last year, enabled me to get the scholarship. And another thing is that rely mostly on Twitter and social media, invest a lot, read a lot, do a lot of research, and I hopefully uh, everything will be okay. Thank you.
Wow, George, thank you so much, George, for that really detailed presentation about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship as well as the Chevening Scholarship. If you have a question for George, please put it in the chat box, or you can even unmute and just ask the question. But George, we really wish you the best. And I have to speak for you. You really put in the works in terms of even researching, and I like the tips that you're giving, that we really have even to check the language, because most of the times even the grammar matters. We don't want spelling mistakes in those essays. And the tip you give about Grammarly is also something that I also use even in my work. So Grammarly is free. There's free Grammarly that you can download for those who are here, and also there's paid up Grammarly that you have to subscribe. So thank you so much, George, for those tips. In case there's anyone else with a question, please type it. I see there's a question, I think.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, how did you balance your time between college applications and writing 7 essays for the scholarship, George?
Oh, actually, I'm not in college. I was currently working, and I'll say it was most of the, I'll say, gold timing since the moment onset of the COVID-19, our company shifted us to work from home. So most of the time I could wake up at 5 and at around 11 a.m. or 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. I'm done with the work that I'm of the work target for that day. Then I'll sit down for around 3 to 4 hours doing research and I'll be very clear with you, like, you really need to sacrifice a lot of time. Sometimes you sleep late. I used to
Babe,
sleep at around uh,
Mitch analia. Mbona
11
analia?
p.m. And for that, I didn't apply. I did not apply to those two scholarship only from November to until I got a response that I've been shortlisted for the interview or gotten the scholarship. No, I applied to other scholarship, and from January until I was sure that I've gotten a scholarship, I applied to around other 7 scholarship, the RL Nesta, University of Manchester scholarship. And the good tip is that don't, if at all you want to study climate change, focus on climate change. It will make it easier for you when revamping your statement of purpose. It won't take much of the time to come up with another statement of purpose or any essay. So when you focus on one area, I focused on climate change. So the moment I was writing my personal statement, I was just doing some minor revamping of my personal statement. So focus on one course or one area. It will take much little time when you apply to this scholarship.
Yeah, I see you have many questions, George.
Yeah, and you know,
Someone is
okay for okay, I'll go for Grace. Um, I don't have much of work experience. I have 1 year my work experience. Uh, I graduated in 2019, and what as I said, the Commonwealth Scholarship is mostly academic and impact. So if at all you have a 2.1 and your impact are something that the UK really need to invest, it's something that you can go. You don't have to have a work experience when it comes to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. Victoria, like For the database, I really don't know if at all there is any database. I think the best database that you can use right now is rely on people who have gone through the process, join WhatsApp groups, join the Facebook groups, uh, go to LinkedIn, connect with people, and try as much as possible to rely on them to guide you. And I'm wishing all the best.
Someone is asking about the how they can use the Rotaract club membership to my advantage in writing essays. That is Williams. So
Okay,
George.
Williams, you can use the membership as a way to show that you have the network and you can rely on this network to build on your impact when you return to your home country. For example, you can say that at Rotary Club you have some people that you can leverage on and have an influence, and maybe you can train them on the skill that you have learned, of which later then they will also try as much as possible to diverge those skills that you have taught them. Other things that maybe you can organize conferences as a Rotary Club, since it's a very reputed organization. So on this issue of taking advantage, it's on the matter of networking. Show that you are a member of this organization and you already have the network that can help you to implement your impact and to implement your skill upon returning to your home country. Thank you.
Well, I think there are no more questions. Oh, there's someone. Chinyere asked a question whether it's possible to hold both awards at the same time. George, is it possible? Can you get best of both worlds?
Okay. Uh, I was a reserved candidate for the Chevening, and I was upgraded yesterday. And it was something that I wanted Chevening scholarship since I aspired to be a leader, and the leadership aspect of the Chevening is what really inspired me to apply for Chevening. But it was too late since I already started my application for the visa, for the CAS, for this Commonwealth scholarship. No, you can't hold both scholarship. You really have to let go of one. Unfortunately, Chevening for me was the one that I had to let go.
Well, Chinyere, there you go. You have your answer. You can only take one. And George, thank you so much. We really wish you all the best as you move over to the UK to the University of Bristol for your master's degree. Really wish you the best. Thank you for the insights that you've given us. Truly helpful, especially because you're giving detailed and really doable actions that scholars can undertake or applicants can undertake as they follow their quest towards a master's degree. So at this point, we really want to bring this to a close. Please, let's continue having this conversation. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Just message me on LinkedIn. My name is Josiah Kiarie, and we can talk over there. Also, you can send me an email. The email that I sent you this connection link to this meeting, you can send me an email and just suggest ways in which we can make this networking better. And we purpose to hold another webinar in 1 month or so, and another webinar just before the Chevening scholarships close. So I'll be looking forward to seeing you in more meetings. But I just want to wish you all the best as you follow your quest for this scholarship. Also, thank you so much to our Indian brothers. I understand it's almost, I think, 1 a.m. or past 1 a.m. And you guys just kept us company until this time. We don't take it for granted, and we appreciate. So, without saying much, I really wish you guys all the best and have a good night. Have a lovely night, and all the best in the work and the school and everything that you do. So from me and George and Rai and Praise is bye bye until we see each other next time. Thank you so much.